What is going on, my broskiis? My name is Toadskii, back again, here to bring you guys yet another One Piece Treasure Cruise video, and we are back again with another tier list video for the month of upcoming July 2022. We have a bunch of new characters to add to the tier list itself, and potentially some changes. We'll have to see how things kind of progress. So, of course, with this month's release, we're going to have a look at last month's tier list and make changes to that list. We're not starting from scratch. We did that with the anniversary month, and we also have additions of five new characters. We have Legend Smoothie from the Pirate Rumble Sugo Fest. We have the new Super Tandem Blackbeard from the Treasure Map Sugo Fest. And then 3 regular Sugo Fest batch characters, Black Maria, Who's Who, and Sasaki are all going to be added to the list. But of course, before we talk about the list, let's talk about my own criteria for the personal tier list here. Remember, this is all fully subjective. First of which is the overall power of the unit. So how much damage can they output against the enemy? How fast are they at clearing content? How reliable are they at clearing that content? Is there content that they cannot clear as a captain? And how usable and versatile are these characters in a broad spectrum of content? Can you chuck these characters into teams where they're not even boosted and get amazing benefits from doing that? And there are still a lot of characters that can still get a lot of benefits from being used on just about any team just because they're that powerful. So without further ado, let's get into it. We're not going to talk about the new characters just yet. We'll have a look at the structure of our list at the moment, and then from there we'll add the new characters. So let's go ahead and start off at the bottom, tier 5, the lowest of the low. Now, remember, some of these characters have level limit break, and we actually have to add those to the list as well, with Usopp, Lucci, Bato, Cavendish, and Jinbei. So we will be talking about those in this video too. So, in terms of these characters, I mean, I kind of want to bump Frankie up, because Frankie is just that useful. Doflamingo is probably a lot better than what people give him credit for. And that's probably about it. I mean, Cracker is very good just because of how usable he is. You can use him on a lot of different teams, and I'm pretty happy with that. Let's just move on up to tier 4. Not a lot of people care about these lower tiers. Let's keep it real. Of course, Rayleigh with level limit break is a bit better. I'm not a big fan of the unit in terms of his abilities, but the support effect is still amazing. Carrot actually is pretty good. You gotta bump her up. She's very useful in recent content too, so definitely bump her up a little bit. And the rest of it seems kind of fair. I mean, look, I've been using the Super Tandem Kaido a lot, and getting access to really good striker and powerhouse characters, I feel like just those characters in general need to be bumped up a little bit. Like this Whitebeard, for example. He's just so good. He's just so good, and that is not Whitebeard. This is what. No, hang on, where is he? There he is. Whitebeard. We got to bump him up. He is just. This Whitebeard is really, really good. A lot of people need to wake up to see how good he actually is. And this Whitebeard, you know, I did get him level limit break to maxed, and he's actually okay. The problem I find with Whitebeard is his cooldown is way too high. It's like 17 turns. I think if you limit break expanded, it goes to 16 or 15. Which is still way too high for what his special does. It definitely needs to be around 12 or 13 for it to be respectable. Having to stall that long for his cooldown is ridiculous. I wish he gave like more cooldown as a captain. That would be a nice addition. But as for the rest of it, I feel pretty comfortable with the rest of these positions. Moving on up to tier 3, I think this is the largest tier that we have on the tier list. So we've got lots of like generically good legends to own on your account that help in a lot of different content. So the first thing that I see with tier 3 that I definitely want to make changes on is Doflamingo. I kind of want to bump him up actually a fair bit. Used him obviously during the Kizuna, and he has great synergy with some more recent characters that kind of came out, especially like the Blackbeard batch is what I'm really talking about. He synergizes well with Blackbeard, and just anything that's driven, like this Dofi is so good for. So I do definitely want to bump him up a little bit. He's probably the same level of these level limit breaks. I mean, the good thing about Dofi is he has access to super class and super type, and that's the big thing as to why these level limit breaks, while they are fantastic for the character, in the grand scheme of all of the other legends in the game, I don't think they're going to get to those character levels just due to the fact that having super type and super class as an additional special and getting an innate color affinity or stat boost to your characters throughout a quest is very valuable, and the fact that those characters don't have it is a huge drawback. But despite that, they are good characters still. You don't get it twisted. They're still very, very good. Ulti page 1, of course, very situational, but if you get it to work, it's awesome. And you got some pretty decent characters, conditional boost and chain locks and stuff with Perona, Hancock, Mihawk Perona. Very, very nice units. Let's bump up to tier 2 now, and again, like, one character really stands out here as a character that I kind of used a little bit during the month that I was just very unimpressed by, and that's Big Mom. This Big Mom unit, on paper, she seems really cool, and like everyone, including myself, was super excited when this character was releasing. But after actually using the character, I don't like Big Mom at all. I think this character is just a terribly designed unit. With some slight changes, this unit can be very, very, very good. But as it stands right now, I don't like Big Mom. I like her as a crewmate. Not as a captain, though. But as a crewmate, very, very good. Yeah, usage as a captain, though, I'm probably not going to use this character as a captain unless if, like, the whole team gets, like, max cooldowns and I don't have to worry about getting very specific specials ready to go. Yeah, this character is just a bit of a weird one. I did use Carrot and Wanda a little bit throughout the month, and they were actually very impressive. I want to bump them up to a really, really high level of tier 2. I still like this Monkey D. Luffy. Pretty basic unit, but is a very good unit nonetheless. Very, very good. And you got Vivi. I think Vivi needs to go up as well. This character's super, super solid. And I'm pretty comfortable with the rest of the positionings here. We have tier 1, so very, very small tier for tier 1, but these are good characters. And I don't think I really want to make too many changes. I didn't use Kaido Big Mom that much during the month, and I kind of like CatDog a little bit better than them, to be honest. But the rest of them seem pretty fair to me. Crocodile I don't use too much, but he is very good. And you have to put respect on his name. He's ridiculously good. Moving on to tier 0. I guess we'll show top 5 here as well. So tier 0. Now, are there any changes that I want to make here in terms of character positionings? I think I want to put Kinemon and Denjiro. I kind of want to bump them down, to be honest. The thing about Kinemon and Denjiro is that while they have a very interesting captain ability, I just feel like I would much prefer to use almost any other unit in that tier as a captain, preferably over Kinemon and Denjiro. It's still a very good sub, great switch effect, great special ability. Captain ability is a little shaky though, not a big fan of that one. But let's have a look at the rest. I mean, you've got obviously Hancock, Nami, Robin, and Rebecca, Shirahoshi Man, Sherry, which I do love. I do love these two characters. Not too much as captains. I mean, Hancock, Nami, Robin are actually okay captains. Shirahoshi Man, Sherry is probably not the best captain in the world, but these characters are so good for their utility and damage boosting effects that they can provide. Hancock, Nami, Robin in particular have access to a vast array of support characters, which is a huge benefit to this character and why they are so good. We've also got Drake, who is obviously very good with the new Kaido, was very good throughout the month, obviously with this whole new batch of powerhouse units coming out with Blackbeard, Smoothie, the Toby Ropos as well. Drake is a huge addition to those types of teams. Frankie's still pretty solid. I like Kid and Law. Odin, actually, you know what, we're going to be changing this up for sure. Kid and Law are definitely being bumped up. I think Law is here, and I think Kid is like right behind him. I like Law a little bit more. I like his utility that he has in his captain ability. You know, the paralysis reduction. A lot of quick units that have been releasing recently have access to that damage reduction, or paralysis should I say, in their captain ability. Like Magellan has it, Iza Okiku, this guy has it, and the new Black Maria also has paralysis reduction in her captain ability. But Law's great. Free Spirit, Cerebral Captain. You can't disregard what this guy's doing. This guy's so good. And you got Luffy, Ace Akainu, which is still amazing. Roger. A lot of people discount how good Roger still is. He is amazing. He is still one of the best go-to captains in the game. You know, resisting the remove beneficial effects or the remove accumulated values effect, still very underrated. And the complete removal of despair, 3x attack boost to the team, a full board of slots and locks it with his super type. He's still very good. You got Toki as well, which, I mean, Toki's still freaking awesome. But as we have been moving forward in the game, you know, with the characters that release for Super Sugo Fest having specials that can provide like 3 times, 3.25, 3.5 times boosting effects to the whole team, it does make Toki's effects less valuable. However, you can still build amazing teams around the character and still get through content very comfortably with this unit. So I'm not saying Toki's a bad unit, because she's definitely not. She's still one of the best legends in the game to own. But I'm just saying that overall her value is going down a little bit due to the fact that the power levels of some of the specials that we get access to are reaching her level, which kind of makes her not as valuable to own comparatively to some of the other characters. But she's still amazing. I love Togi. She's awesome. And then we have the top 5. And the top 5 right now, I didn't really use Ace and Yamato that much throughout the month, but of course you have to respect what they do. The utility, the damage, everything. they're still very good. The only thing, obviously, that I don't like about it, that I talked about it in previous months' tier list, is the lack of orb-changing mechanics that this character has. But if you really take that out of the picture, they basically do everything else, which is pretty good, you know? And then you got Kaido. I think Kaido is definitely confirmed, in my personal opinion right now, definitely a top 3 legend in the game. He's so good. He's ridiculous. I mean, yeah, he is only focused on Striker and Powerhouse, but the Super Tandem, which is relatively easy to activate with his crew, the amazing special ability, increased damage taken, like, even when he's not in teams, even if you don't have a team that has type advantage, you're still doing like 1 billion damage with a level 5 Super Tandem. He's so good. I absolutely love the Super Tandem Kaido. He's so good. And then we've got Luffy Crew and Roger Newgate, which we already know why they are so good. So the only 2 characters that I'm really concerned about taking out or switching with top 5 is Yamato and Ace and Yamato, but as it stands right now, I think that I'm pretty comfortable with leaving him in this position. But let's go ahead and talk about some of the new characters that we can add to the list. Let's go with the level limit breaks. We'll just start from the top. We've got Usopp. So I was thinking about this one and thinking about just the level limit breaks in general, and the thing about Usopp is I'm just going to leave him in the same place as like Strong and Ace, because they're both characters that get level limit breaks that are focused on the shooter class, but the problem there is like that's as far as they go, and shooters are the worst class in the game. And you know, the thing is they don't have access to super type, they don't have access to super class, they're not dual units, so they don't get good switch effects or anything like that. And I do like what they did with Usopp. He is obviously a really good character, but he's only for shooters, so take that as you will. I think a lot of people might rank him a little bit more highly, but personally, I just don't see him ever exceeding this tier. I think he'll probably live in tier 5, unless if we get some crazy shooter buffs that make shooters like the best class in the game, which I highly doubt that's going to happen. It's just the problem with the class itself. Like, if he was all of his abilities but for like essentially any other class just about, he probably would be in tier 4 or tier 3 most likely, but because it's shooters, he's not going any higher than that. And then we've got Rob Lucci. Now, I think they did a phenomenal job with Rob Lucci, and I do want to bump him up relatively highly because he is focused on the Powerhouse class. And considering Powerhouse is probably like top 2, top 3 best classes in the game, I think that he definitely deserves to be up here. In terms of how usable he's actually going to be, though, I'm not too sure about that. I mean, I'm going to leave him around where his super type counterpart is. He's good. Like, Lucci is a very good unit. The fact that he can launch his special so quickly, he's got like a 5-turn cooldown, and every time you launch it, the attack boost he provides is higher and higher and higher, and it maxes out at like a 2.75 times attack boost. Heaps of matching slots, and you actually want to launch his special multiple times per quest, and you definitely want level limit break, and you also want limit break expansion. I'm talking about Lucci in that sense of having him as maxed as you possibly can get. In that case, yes, he is probably a tier 3-ish legend. If you only have the level limit break, he's definitely way lower because he doesn't have the additional captain effect ability where he reduces his cooldown by 5 on battle 3, and his cooldown is very, very high without the expansion. The expansion is what gives him like the -7 cooldown or something, which is very valuable to what his kit is aiming to provide. So with level limit break and level limit break expansion, that's exactly where you want this guy. He is so powerful. And then we've got some lower tier characters like, I mean, Barto. I don't really think they did a good job with Barto. I'm not a big fan of his abilities. I understand what he's trying to do, and I think that there may be content out there where Barto is going to be very valuable to have like attack and orb boost, and then after one turn has passed, you get color affinity. I think that this is going to be a useful ability in some content, potentially Grand Voyage or something, but outside of that, he's probably not going to see a lot of play, unfortunately. And the same thing goes for Cavendish, but I do think Cavendish will see a little bit more play compared to Barto, and for that reason, I'll bump him up to about here. And the reason for it is because his cooldown is reasonable, his special ability is powerful, he gives himself a slot and locks it, and gives himself a 3.5 attack and orb boost. He's basically a self-Toki effect. And with that type of boost, that's going to kill a lot of mini-bosses. I mean, especially strength ones in particular. He could just hit extremely hard against them. He does damage, and he's a slasher and a driven. He's got good class and type combinations. Like, Cavendish has a lot going for him. You're not really going to use him as a captain because it's kind of bad. He's very self-centered, and you'd much rather use super type, super classes to enhance the damage even further, but it is what it is. Cavendish, not bad. And then we have one more character, which is going to be Jinbei. Now, Jinbei is focused on the fighter class, and he still has a lot going for him. He has good utility, blue shield, rainbow shield removal, attack down removal, color affinity to fighters, fighter matching slots, captain ability, usable, just across the board, pretty decent. He's probably around like the same tier as this Luffy, who is also focused around fighter characters, but you know, either way, I think Jinbei is a pretty solid addition to the level limit break system. You know, a pretty good unit that will probably see some play in some way, shape, or form, but again, comes down to that same problem of no super type, no super class, which really brings these characters down a notch. But now we can talk about some of the new characters. So we have a whole bunch of characters to talk about here. So we've got Legend Smoothie first. So Legend Smoothie, I actually really do like what they've done with Legend Smoothie, and I think this character is actually like a tier 2 character. For now, I'm going to leave it around here, probably a little bit lower because of the utility here. But you know, Smoothie has a usable captain and gets rid of like despair and attack down, and has chain boundary. Like, this unit is very solid. Slasher powerhouse, great classes, quick unit, good color as well. Just generically across the board, like, they did a really good job with this character. Not bad in Pyro Rumble either, which is what this character was mainly focused on. But of course, the main issue is it is a Pyro Rumble character. They don't get access to super type, super class, which is an inherent downfall for the character, and just that's with PvP legends in general. The fact that they don't have that is kind of frustrating. But Smoothie, I'm very content with what they did with the character, considering the structure that they normally follow for PvP legends. I'm really happy that it is not a color affinity boosting legend, because like all the other PvP legends, NL, Kuma, Kizaru, all these characters that release for PvP, actually, well, aside from Rogue, because Rogue also was not color affinity focused, but a lot of them were based around that color affinity effect. So this character is just by far and away so much better than what Rogue was. Like, how can they release Rogue and then like the month later they release Smoothie and she's like almost better in every single way, in every component is just better than Rogue? I don't know why they do that. They absolutely shafted Rogue in almost every sense. But Smoothie, they did a very good job with. So next we have Blackbeard. Super Tandem Blackbeard coming out during the Treasure Map Sugo Fest, of course. And the thing about Blackbeard is you're almost never going to see the Super Tandem ability, because it is so focused around having the Blackbeard pirates on your crew, and there's just not a lot of good Blackbeard pirate units in One Piece Treasure Cruise. Of course, you know, you can pick out a couple of them, but the fact that you do need 2 of them in order to activate the Super Tandem on top of Blackbeard himself, in a lot of team compositions, you're not going to be able to get this. So that's a pretty big downfall to the character immediately. Captain ability is very solid and very straightforward, and I like the fact that he has the ability to change other effects into more beneficial offensive abilities. I think that's a really neat effect that he has. Obviously bringing some components of his dual unit V3 counterpart, which not a lot of people enjoyed. Very poor design, but they definitely made him a little bit better this time around, and they made him very interesting with his special as well. This character is probably going to see a lot more play as a crewmate rather than a captain. The fact that his ability as a sub provides chain boundary, not only for initial activation, but also for the turn after, and also allows you to get around bind. He removes like 10 turns of bind with his special ability, and we saw with characters like Halloween Ace, where they have like a huge attack boost and get rid of 10 turns of bind. Just some situations you just want to get rid of a lot of bind, and as long as that character is not binded himself, that's going to be absolutely awesome. And the fact that he does have access to Lafitte support, you can remove an additional 2 turns of bind on top of that. I think Blackbeard is going to be a pretty decent addition to powerhouse driven int-based teams moving forward, and I definitely think at this current point in time I would put him in tier 1. I think he's probably around this tier right here. I'm happy with it right there. Probably could be a little bit higher, all things considered, but as it stands right now, I'll leave him in here. Might get bumped up as time progresses. I'm a big fan of Blackbeard though. I think they did a pretty good job with his design. Just the Super Tandem is the only downfall. So Black Maria is going to be the first of the 3 brand new legends that we're going to talk about, and Black Maria, I think in terms of the captain ability, this is the one that I am more excited about the most. The fact that it has the ability to give you more matching slots, and it also has the paralysis reduction. And I know we just talked about earlier how like so many quick units have paralysis reduction in their captain ability, but it's a useful ability to have. And the fact that this character is focused on strength dex quick, you've got access to a lot of good characters there, and I do like the fact that this character is kind of like focused on strength dex quick, but also being a super class powerhouse. I think that actually kind of works, where it's like if it's the reverse one of being a class based captain and then being a super type unit, I actually much prefer the way they did this one with Black Maria. This is actually pretty decent, and you know, the special ability is okay. It gives you all boosting effects, but the problem is the super class effect does buff the orb boosting effect, and not a big fan of super classes that have been able to do that in the past. Like, I remember the Sanji character that debuted during Treasure Map, the yellow Sanji. He also had an effect that would buff attack and orb boosting effects, if I remember correctly. And like, those super types and super class effects are just not that good at all. And unfortunately, Black Maria does also have that. And the super tandems of these characters are just super whack. I don't really care about the super tandems of these 3 characters in particular, but I just think as an overall umbrella of the characters as a whole, I think the captain ability is very good. I think the special ability is okay, though the delayed conditional boost is a bit shaky because you're not going to be able to get a delayed conditional boost too often against the enemy. So I think Black Maria is still very, very solid. Now, in terms of where I would actually rank the character, do I think the character is better than Blackbeard? I'm not sure, actually. I'm actually not sure. I think for right now, I'm gonna rank her just below Blackbeard. I mean, she's very, very close. She might be up here, actually, to be honest. This is tough. I'm gonna leave her at the bottom of tier 0. I think Black Maria is very, very good. And look, I'm saying all this from my perspective of not even having used these characters, but Black Maria, I like everything that she has going for her with her captain, special, just the super class effect I really don't like, and that really does hurt. I kind of want to bump her down, actually. Yeah, we're going to leave her there just a little bit above Blackbeard for now, but I think that Black Maria is very good. Alright, so the next character we're talking about is going to be Who's Who, and I think Who's Who out of the 3 is the most disappointing one, and I think a lot of people are still going to say, you know, they really like this character because he's mainly a speed farming captain, but I mean, like, if I'm going to speed farm content, I'm just going to use CatDog, like, realistically speaking here, like, when are you going to be using this guy over CatDog in a speed farming capacity? I just don't really see why you would use Who's Who over the CatDog in that scenario. While this character is boosting Strength X quick, you know, cooldown reduction, I mean, the multipliers that this guy can potentially get you are pretty high. Like, no one's disregarding that. But the special ability of this character is just kind of whack. You know, it gives you a color affinity boost, and it also is a chain booster. So, color affinity and chain boost, whereas CatDog are attack/all boosting characters, I think that is more valuable in a speed farming sense compared to a character like this. I do like the fact that in his captain ability, they do have the end of turn damage effect, kind of like what V2 Akanu has. That is cool, not too bad at all. And the super tandem of the character and the super class as well is kind of weird, giving him like the chain multiplicative special ability, and also giving him a tandem slot. Just overall, this character just seems underwhelming to me. Now, I say that, but multipliers and everything taken into account, he's still going to be an incredibly strong unit. In my opinion, he's just going to be a tier below. I think he's going to be a tier 2 character, and I think for now, he's probably going to be near the top of tier 2. I still actually kind of like Luffy a little bit more, to be perfectly honest. In terms of a speed farmer, I'm definitely using CatDog over them. So the last character we're talking about is Sasaki. Now, I think Sasaki just is probably the best one overall, just well-rounded, good captain ability, good special, good super class effect, and the super tandem, it is what it is, right? But captain ability, like a 5.4 captain, like that's ridiculous, plus -1 cooldown, plus matching slots, plus a health boost. He's really good in terms of his captain ability, and then his special ability not only being damage dealing, but an attack boost and base attack boost and damage reduction. So this can be your guy, your crew's dedicated attack boosting effect on top of stat boost, which is really nice. And then his super class effect, if you're using him as a captain, being able to get the -50% resistance for your powerhouse characters, like that is so good. Like we've seen that those effects, they give you a lot of damage output for free out of nowhere. In terms of all of the super classes that we've seen from this batch, just overall, this is by far the best because it goes through immunity and it just gives you a free 1.5 damage boost to all your powerhouse characters. Like, I mean, that's very powerful and really hard to replicate and kind of just replace, right? So if you really think about it, Sasaki's giving you attack boost, base attack boost, and also resistance down if you're using him as a captain with a 5.4 multiplier, god damn it. Like, this is really strong. In terms of power level, it's definitely the highest of all of the 3, but obviously Black Maria has access to a little bit more utility, has good orb changing mechanics, has a delayed conditional boost. for all those things are all really nice, but I think that the power level of Sasaki probably ranks it a little bit higher over Black Maria. You know, Sasaki honestly could probably go into tier 0 just in terms of the raw power, because you could just use, you know, other characters on the crew for your dedicated utility. But again, I'm really talking about all of this batch coming from the perspective of someone who hasn't used them yet, so you do have to take that into consideration. Probably around the same level as X-Drake. I love what X-Drake does, but I mean, Sasaki has heaps going on, so that's pretty much it in terms of all the new characters added to the tier list. And with all of that, I think that's pretty much going to wrap it up, because I don't really feel comfortable altering the top 5 as of right now, but next month's tier list has a lot going for it, right? Because next month, we have obviously a new batch coming at the end of the month. However, July 22nd is One Piece Day, and we don't know what is coming out or if anything is coming out for One Piece Day at all. If we go by the previous 2 years' celebrations, there should be something coming for One Piece Day, likely a new Sugo Fest, likely not a Super Sugo Fest, and also early August. August 6th is the release date of One Piece Film Red, and we are all assuming that they're going to have a release Sugo Fest for the movie, which is probably going to be a Super Sugo Fest. That's my prediction, but next month there's going to be a lot going on, so save your rainbow gems for upcoming releases, because there could be some pretty crazy characters coming out next. But that's going to wrap it up from me. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video today, and if you guys did enjoy it, make sure to go ahead and leave a like, and if you want to stay up to date with all the content that I post, including more One Piece Treasure Cruise content, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. But on that, guys, I'll see you guys within the next video.